Thanks to all of you for joining us. I know it's been for most of us, at least in the U.S., it's been a little bit of a weird weather over the last 10 days with snow in the north and ice in the middle, and now we've got snow in the middle of our two zones and unusually cold temperatures in Florida and Georgia. So I thank you all for being here and hope that you are staying safe and warm as we work through this most interesting winter. I am going to give a bit of an update today from our board meeting and on our finances. There has definitely been expressed to me many times over the last year a desire to have more communication and transparency about Rotary International finances, and about every other month I've been providing an update on those. Not just because I'm treasurer this year, but because many of you have asked for that. So I'm going to just give you kind of a top level look, financial overview, and this is just for Rotary International, not for the Rotary Foundation. I gave a similar presentation to the board of directors for Rotary International about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Those numbers were through November. I do have updated December numbers now to share with you. So I'll take you through this. You can see on your screen an orange, a blue, and a green column. The orange is our budget, or in accounting speak, plan. The blue is our actual numbers. And the green is the variance between the two. So I think we ought to focus on the green column and note that all of these numbers are expressed in millions. Looking at the revenue side of things, you will see that we are about $600,000.6 million behind on dues revenue. Part of that is because when these budgets are set, we don't know what our starting number of members will be for the beginning of the year. We're already in budget process for 26, 27 now. And so sometimes we miss a little high, sometimes we miss a little bit low. We ended up with a little bit more than historical drop in membership in June. So we started a little bit lower. That affects dues revenue. We also have had unfavorable currency exchange, particularly with the Indian rupee, the Japanese yen, and the South Korean won. So last year we had favorable currency exchanges that actually helped us generate a little bit more, but this year it's on the other side of that. So we're about 600,000 behind on dues revenue. Our service and other revenue, what you see there being $1.5 million behind, is primarily due to lower than budgeted rental income at headquarters. We do have some vacant space there. It's still a little bit of a challenge in terms of commercial space rental and occupancy. So a little bit behind there. Our investment income, and I'll come back to that in a minute, is ahead of budget by $500,000. So that gets us to, before we talk about PSAs, unfavorable by $1.6 million. Now, looking at the expenses on the bottom half of the slide, you'll see that our operating expenses are $1.1 million favorable to budget. And that is primarily from our marketing and IT departments. Both are employing AI a good bit, which has allowed them to save money on outside contracting as well as some staff spots. IT has also transferred 4 positions from here in the U.S. to India, so there's some significant labor cost savings there. So we're up $1.1 million on those operating expenses. We are favorable to service and other expenses by $900,000, by $0.9 million, as you see there. And that's really where, as we've had lower occupancy at headquarters, we've done our very best to conserve the expenses related to the building that go with having more full tenants. So in total there, $2 million favorable on the expense side. So that's a good thing. Now, I told you I'd come back to the PSA. That's public service announcements, and that's basically donated TV, radio, print promotions, that type of thing. General accepted accounting principles in the U.S. require us to show the value of that donated promotion both as a revenue and an expense. So you see it as 0.6 million favorable in the revenue and then zero point 0.6 unfavorable in the expenses. So they always offset, but we are required to show them. So you'll see in total there that despite the fact we are under on revenue, we are ahead in total before the use of reserves, up about $400,000 through December for the midpoint of our year. So really happy with the way our staff has managed expenses at a time when revenues are falling a little bit short. Really pleased with the efforts there. So I told you I would come back to net investment earnings. You'll see the straight kind of orange line there, which is our budget. Of course, that's a straight line as a budget because we have a number we think we'll earn during the year. We don't know the ups and downs that will occur during the year. The blue line that you see is our actual for the year. So we are running about $500,000 ahead versus budget on our investment income. And then the purple dashed line you see is where we were last year. And we're not far off of that. So just like last year, we're running ahead of budget, and that is helping to offset some of those other lower than revenue items that I mentioned. Now, looking toward our convention, our code of policy sets what we base our budgets on for convention in terms of attendance. For conventions in Asia, this year we're in Taipei, Taiwan, it calls for 25,000 people paid attendance. As you can see, we are running way ahead of that. Typically December 31st, staff will use historical numbers to revise, if you will, and create a projection of how many we expect to have attend based on how many have registered by December 31. They projected 34,817. Even so, we are ahead of that now, 1 month later at 36,826. This has proven to be a very popular convention. We're continuing to add, even though most of the discount periods have ended, we're continuing to add people who are paying and registering. We will have some cancellations between now and the convention, but this is going to be very good for our bottom line as an organization. And we're at this point, we expect to generate a surplus of about $3 million on the convention, because obviously some of the fixed costs associated with the convention, like renting the space, the Coliseum, the exhibition center, those are fixed costs essentially. So we expect to produce a very good show for those of you who are going to Taiwan and generate a nice surplus, which will be fantastic. We recognize the expenses and the revenue for the convention in June. And we do that just so we can match up the expenses and the revenue at the same time. So you don't see some of the expenses that are occurring now only later to see a big revenue plug come in. So as I said, we expect to be up 3 million. So moving on to the January Rotary International Board of Directors meeting, that was held the 2 days after the recent International Assembly. And so there were a few highlights from that meeting for sure. One is that Director-elect Marshall Butler attended his first board meeting. He was there for all the action. He had the opportunity to speak to a subject or two. Does not have a vote at this point. He'll take that over in July. But really glad to have Marshall there. Also, the trustees met right before International Assembly, and our trustee-elect Cindy Covington, as well as our trustee Stephanie Urchik, were there. And it was Cindy's first opportunity to attend and observe a trustee meeting. So really good representation from both our zones. And in the case of the board meeting I attended, really glad to have Marshall there. Some of the highlights of the decisions we made: we placed the 2029 convention in Barcelona, Spain. Some of you will recall the last time we were in Barcelona, which I believe was 2002. So we'll be returning there. Very excited about that. And the 2031 convention will be in Dublin, Ireland. We call those tentative commitments because there's still plenty of details that have to be worked through. but that is where we intend to be, and planning to go to those conventions. So I think that'll be exciting to be at both of those. Also, for those of you who will recall our recently completed campaign to raise or to have 2.025 billion in our endowed fund in contributions and commitments by 2025, part of the way that we reached that was we had supplemental regional visioning events. We used our 7 offices around the world and then 2 other locations. We had 9 total events like that to really try to equip our regional leaders with resources, strategies to be able to work toward that goal. We're going to do the same thing with membership. Many of you may not be aware that we have a visionary goal to have 1.25 million Rotarians and 125,000 Rotaractors by 2030, which will be our 125th anniversary. Thus, the 1.25 million, 125,000 by our 125th birthday. So that will be taking place mostly in the first quarter of the 26-27 year. Senior leaders like Marshall will be invited, as will our regional membership coordinators and regional public image coordinators. This will be a collective effort. Rotary has always reached these types of goals, and we are very excited about really kicking that into high gear in terms of expanding our membership, because I think we can all agree that the world needs a growing Rotary. There's no question about that. Other major decisions, the regionalization pilot in the South Pacific in Zone 8, that's been extended through 2027-28 to allow it time to be fully executed. This was approved initially by the 2022 Council on Legislation. They spent a little bit more time in the South Pacific on the planning phase, so we did extend. We're not spending any more money than had originally been contemplated, but it is being extended out through 27-28. So excited about that. And we had we approved things like the committees for 26-27 and many other things. I won't take you through the entire agenda, but I did want to share those major decision points that were taken, particularly the conventions and the 9 membership regional visioning events that will take place. So I will now take the great opportunity to introduce the first of 3 additional speakers who will be coming behind me. I'm really excited to hear from all 3 of them. But next up will be Michelle Petrell, who is the governor-elect from District 7305 in Western Pennsylvania. She attended International Assembly as an incoming governor just a couple of weeks ago, and we invited her to share with us what that was like and her impressions and what she learned and all that good stuff. So, Michelle, you're one of the most sunny people I know. I look forward to hearing your report. So take it away.
Thank you so much, Patrick. It's such a blessing to be asked. I brought a little bit of Yinka along with me by wearing my scarf today. I'm not a big fan of things around my neck, but his scarf is beautiful. And that International Assembly is amazing. For those of you who have not been a district governor yet, it is an encouraging thing for you to go and try to follow that steps. Patrick, thank you so much for making me feel welcome while I was there, as well as always. And thank you for this opportunity to share my views of what happened at International Assembly. First of all, it is overwhelming to walk in and immediately see that a place with 1,500 rooms of beds was pretty much full of Rotary International. Amazing. Signs everywhere that it was our place for most of the week, and that is amazing to me. One of the things that I noticed immediately was that there was a huge sign saying, "Welcome to International Assembly." And I would say that the sign is big enough that if 10 to 20 of us laid down, it still could cover us all. Side by side, straight ahead, whichever way. We know that most of the governor-elects wanted a picture right there. They had to put up a sign, please don't stop at the top of the steps. We need you to be safe this week. It was amazing. We start the week out with a reception, and that reception had such international flair, not just the people, with more than 500 district governors from around the world being there, but with the food as well. You are treated to such highlights as sushi or prime rib. My husband was feeling completely blessed that night. We had taken a later flight, and when we got in, he was starving. And he's like, they really filled my stomach and then my heart. So I was so overwhelmed by everything from that moment on. The next day, you're up for some amazing assemblies, general assemblies, where you meet people like the last several presidents of Rotary International. But they're all there anyway. They're all a part of your whole week. You get to know them one on one. To be stopped in the hall by Yinka and say, where are you from? Matters. And it was even more exciting that we give giveaways to one another as we get to know each other. And I was highly sought out for my pen. It was a pen of the for see, I lost my train of thought, but it was a pen that looked like the vaccine that we first gave right here in Pittsburgh. And I was able to say that salt came from our area, and people sought out my gift. Really amazing. In addition to that, I just want to go over a little bit of how I personally was impacted by Yinka's message to us all. He actually said, as members of Rotary, we share a vision. It's not just about what we do on a daily basis. That's change. But what we do makes impact. And so creating impact, is part of our embracing the world, is part of what we are trying to do all the time, with open arms, with open love, with open hearts. I was so touched by that along the way, I just couldn't wait to hear what other people had to say. One of those was Jennifer Jones, who shared that we are about gratitude as well. What we do matters, but what we do should matter to us, because that gratitude of getting to change people should matter in our world, but it should also matter in our hearts. We need to change as well. And if Rotary's not doing that for you, what is it doing? Yinka also shared, and I'd like this one to be a quote. So, as members of Rotary, we share a vision of a better future. To make this vision a reality, we must acknowledge and unleash the change within ourselves. We must focus not only on our outcomes, but on our impact. He reminded us that change isn't always impact. In the moment, you could feed somebody and they will love that you fed them. But the impact is much further reaching. Maybe their education is increased. Maybe they have learned how to feed themselves for a lifetime. It is important that we remember impact is far reaching. And one of my favorite speakers of the whole weekend is who I get to introduce next. Marshall Butler, our Rotary International Director-elect, has not only been a friend of my class, as we are revolutionaries with him, but he was one of the best speakers of the weekend, bringing our zone to the rest of the assembly. He didn't pay me to say that, despite the fact that he's about to tell me that. But I am honored to say, Marshall, you're up next.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for those kind words. And it is an incredible experience. And I'm thrilled to hear your account of it. Just it's unlike any other experience in Rotary. And this year International Assembly was only my second International Assembly ever. The last time I went was 10 years ago as the district governor-elect. So being able to go back again and experience the excitement, as people come in and seeing people arrive and standing in front of that banner, getting your picture taken, experiencing the internationality of it all. It really is incredible. The first night, we were there. We had the opening reception, as Michelle described, And then it was great to have the revolutionaries together in a special reception that we hosted at the Sundowner Lounge. We were able to toast the revolution and get everyone excited for a week of learning, a week of inspiration, a week of preparation for what's going to be an incredible year for us in Rotary, the 26 to 27 Rotary year. So that first night was very special. Also, that night, it was very special. I got pinned, my director pin by Yinka. So it's getting real. I now have a pin that says I'm going to be director for 26 to 28. So getting pinned by Yinka was truly a highlight for me that first day we were there. And I just, so happy to be able to lead our organization with a person like Yinka Balbaloa. The rest of the week, of course, the plenaries, always inspirational. As an incoming board member, we had a lot of board orientations, a lot of meetings to discuss, how we're going to do the work of Rotary, how the process works, how the staff supports us, learning about the Dubai Convention. A lot of the information was shared with us about that. Just a lot of really, it was information overloaded at a certain point, but just so excited to be a part of it. The other fun part for me was being able to host tables. I would, go to the luncheon with Yinka, and I would get to host a table. And for me, I had to somehow learn to communicate with my South Korean friends. And that was a lot of fun. A table full of just really cool people from South Korea. At the polio dinner, I had the Belgians and the French, and trying to learn French that night. So I needed Duolingo, like pretty, like they do in The Matrix. Teach me French. So that was fun. And then the last night, it was really at the closing ceremony, we had an international group, Australians, someone from Lebanon, someone from Bosnia. So really just being able to host those tables and again, experience the internationality of our organization was so much fun. Speaking of the plenaries, we got to see someone that is very familiar to us on one of the sessions, and that's Charles Elwood, a fellow that was found as part of our Jacksonville Zone Summit on AI. And Charles just absolutely knocked it out of the park and really shared how we can use human-centered AI to do more good in Rotary, and some of the really inspirational stories that he shared. Just so proud that Charles Elwood is someone that, was kind of discovered by Zones 33 and 34. And I'm looking in the comments, and many of you are inviting him to come to your district conferences now. And I know he's been invited to be a part of some Rotary committees and stuff like that. So just really excited for Charles and to be part of that journey. Michelle mentioned that other speaker Thursday morning. For me, that was a highlight to be able to say that I had the opportunity to speak on the big stage at International Assembly. I only got the invitation 3 weeks before, so it was a bit of a scramble to pull that together. It was a quick turnaround, and a whole lot of work had to happen behind the scenes to make that all possible. But I just want to publicly, on this ZoomFormation today, thank all of my friends across zones 33 and 34 that got to that session early and made sure that the first 2 rows were full of friends from zones 33 and 34, so that when I looked out into that audience, it's pretty bright up front. It gets dark, but those first 2 rows, all I saw were friends. And you want to talk about a confidence building moment. To be able to look down and see all the district governor-elects, partners, and associated folks from zones 33 and 34, and for you guys to do that, to do that for me, just really was special. And I just want to thank you all for that publicly. Then we get on to the rest of the week, which was the board meeting, and being able to sit on the back bench and kind of observe how a board meeting is conducted, seeing the preparation that goes into it by the RI staff, all the translation. Being able to sit on that back bench with my classmates from around the world. We have folks from Japan, Uganda, Italy, Iceland. Just, being able to connect with that class of folks that I'm going to be serving with the next 2 years was a lot of fun. One of the things that I learned about the board is with a president who is from Italy and a vice president who is from Belgium, there's going to be chocolate, and it's going to be passed around the board table. And it's really good chocolate. And you hope that the box comes around twice because you want another piece. So that was, it's the little things. But at the same time, I've heard Patrick say this so many times. The folks that are on the board, they're Rotarians. They're just normal people. They just have a little bit of a different responsibility right now to lead our organization. But at the end of the day, just really great, cool people. The last night we had a social, and it was a lot of fun. It was just like Patrick shared. just people getting together, wanting to do good in the world and serve our organization. So being a part of that meeting was great. The discussion was really neat. Seeing the professionalism, the way that the comments were thought out. Some comments were a little bit long, but that's, Rotarians do that. But just seeing the personalities of all the people around that table, and understanding who talks a lot, who doesn't, who has really good insights. It was really cool, and to see the process of voting on things, adding amendments, going back and forth until it was ready to go. The staff helping prepare resolutions and stuff like that. Just really well organized, super professional. We should all be very proud of the way that our organization is governed. I'm trying to think, what else did I have to say? It was a great experience. And again, another public shout out to my friend, RI Director Patrick. Patrick has really helped prepare me for this moment. We've had biweekly meetings. Continuity is strong, just like many of you saw at the International Assembly. The continuity at the top of our organization with Francesco, with Yinka, with Larry, seeing that continuity very strong. And then the continuity at zones 33 and 34, I believe, is just as strong. Patrick has certainly been there every time I had a question, has been a great mentor and a great friend. And Patrick, I want to say thank you for that. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Past District Governor Deborah Williams, who is going to talk about the gathering.
Gunshani Marshall, which I'm saying thank you very much for the introduction in Mandarin Chinese. First of all, I greet you all with a friendly and standard Mandarin message. Ni hao, meaning hello to everyone. On behalf of your host, Director Patrick C. Eakes, you are cordially invited to the reception, which is the gathering of Taipei on Sunday, June 14, 2026, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Taipei International Convention Center, third floor, the banquet hall. We will have a serving of Asian cuisine, of appetizers, heavy hors d'oeuvres, Taiwanese beer, wine, and punch. An additional feature for this reception is BYOB. There is no cash bars, so they will provide setups for you, your whatever ice or sodas that you need for your beverages, for your alcoholic beverages. Let me clarify that. This reception will be amazing and exciting because we can reunite with our family and friends of Rotary. Our friendships and fellowships are very important because as change makers, we must continue to unite for good. To register for this event, the promotion chairs is Deborah Corbin and Heather Keller. We'll distribute the DACTB link to all registered guests for Taipei. Registration is active, and the registration fee is $75, that's US dollars, per guest. Registration closed on May 15th, 2026. There are only 700 tickets available. That's significant. Only 700 tickets available. I encourage you, please register now so you won't miss out on this gala affair. At this point, Gunshani, thank you very much for your time.
All right, Deborah. Holy moly. I mean, talk about doing more with less. I mean, Cookie, we got done inside of 30 minutes, but wow, what amazing content today. So the good news is that is going to leave plenty of time for the breakout sessions. I'm going to go over some of the upcoming events, and then I'm going to get those breakout sessions open for you all. We will leave the deck open until 2 p.m. Stay as long as you like. We'll close those breakout rooms right at 2 o'clock though. Okay. All right. So as far as our upcoming events, I'm right around the corner next Monday. That is going to be our membership action plan webinar, Engagement by Design, ideas for increasing member participation. And then we have our Foundation Matters webinar. That's coming up February 19th at 6 p.m. And then always popular public image webinar, storytelling meets tech, inside making of the zones 33, 34 Rotary rap video, which by any definition went completely viral. Absolutely incredible reception to that and the sequel, right? So please hop on that to learn a little bit more about its development. And then this is just kind of a save the date, put on the radar. This is going to be Zone 34's District Leadership Learning Seminar. That's coming up March 28th and 29th in Jacksonville, Florida. And then, of course, you got to have this on your calendar, October 21st through 25th. That is going to be the Zone Summit in Williamsburg, Virginia. And as Deborah was already talking about, Rotary International Convention, that is going to be in Taipei, Taiwan. There is still time to register. And goodness knows, there's tons of people that are going to be there. So join that awesome crowd and get registered for the gathering.